Hey guys, in this video the brilliant Mr. B is going to be taking you through 15 examples of working through multiples, getting harder as you go through this video. Now you can use this video however you want to. If you want to challenge yourself and go straight to the end, then brilliant. If you want to slowly work up to it, then great. If you go to the end and find it too hard, you can move backwards. There is no pressure for this. If you would like more examples, there are loads of questions waiting for you on my website.
Okay, so multiples on their own are really easy. When you see the word multiple, it just means the times table. So when we're looking for the multiples of 4, that's just the 4 times table, starting with 4, and then 8, 12, 16 and 20. Now the 4 times table will continue on forever, and for these questions we are just going to write the first 5. So now looking at the multiples of 9, which would be the 9 times table. If you can't remember the times table, just add on 9 each time. So 9 plus 9 is 18. 18 plus 9 is 27. 27 plus 9 is 36. And 36 plus 9 is 45. Again, this could go on forever, so we're just going to stop after the first 5. Now, looking at the 14 times table, with mental arithmetic, we can just add on 10 and 4 each time. So 14 plus 10 is 24, plus 4 is 28. 28 plus 10 is 38, plus 4 is 42. 42 plus 10 is 52, plus 4 is 56, and 56 plus 10 is 66, plus another 4 is 70. And again, we could continue, but we'll stop after the first 5. Now, 16 times table, not one we normally memorise, so we can just add on 10 and add on 6 each time. So 16 plus 10 is 26, plus 6 is 32. 32 plus 10 is 42, plus the 6 is 48. 48 plus 10 is 58, plus the 6 is 64, and 64 plus 10 is 74, plus the 6 is 80. And there's our first 5. Finally, we're looking at the multiples of 23, or the 23 times table. So let's add on 20 and add on 3 each time. So 23 plus 20 is 43, plus 3 is 46. 46 plus 20 is 66, plus the 3 is 69. 69 plus 20 is 89, plus the 3 would be 92, and 92 plus 20 be 112, plus 3 is 115, and again we have our first 5, so we're going to stop. Now moving on to the medium questions, we have something called LCM, and what LCM means is the lowest common multiple. So let's have a look at what that means. With the first question, we want the LCM of 5 and 4. I'll set out my working out like this. And I'm going to go through the acronym LCM in reverse order. So the last letter is M, which stands for multiple. I'm going to find the multiple of these numbers. So first the multiples of 5, starting with 5. Let's add on 5 each time. So we're just writing out the 5 times table, and I'll stop there for now. Now looking at 4, let's write down the multiples of 4. So 4, 8, 12, and again I'm just writing out the 4 times table. I'll stop there for now. Now I've written out the multiples. I'm going to go to the second letter, which is common. So that means numbers that are in common to both lists. So which numbers are in both lists? And we can see that both lists have got 20. So we've written out the multiples, we've found the common numbers in both lists. Now we move on to the last letter, lowest. We want the lowest number, which is in both lists, and we only have one, it's 20. So the lowest common multiple of 5 and 4 is 20. Using the same method for question 2, with the lowest common multiple of 8 and 6. So I'm going to write down 8 and 6. I'm going to set my working out like this, draw a little table. So we're going to go through LCM in reverse order, starting with the M, standing for multiple, and I'm going to write down the multiples of 8, which is the 8 times table. Now, you might not know how far to go, so I suggest you just write down the first 5 to start. You can always add more numbers to the list later if you need them. Now I'm going to move on to the multiples of 6. So 6, 12, and again, this is just the 6 times table. Now, next I'm looking for common numbers, which numbers are in both lists. And so far, I don't actually have any numbers in both lists. So what you do now is just add more multiples. Let's go up to about 50. And since the 8 times table is up to about 50, I'm going to make the 6 times table go up to about 50 as well. So try and keep the same numbers in both lists, try and get up to around about the same part of the times tables. So now they're both up into the 50s. I can take another look and see that any numbers are in both lists. And now I can see that 48 is in both lists. And actually looking at the list, I think I've made a mistake here, and I can see that I already had a number in both lists. I had 24, but I'll leave the mistake in because now when we go to the second letter, common, we can see now that it is possible to have more than one number that's in both lists. So we have 24 in both lists and we have 48 in both lists. So when I move on to the third letter, the L, standing for lowest, I want to choose the lowest number out of the alternatives. So I'm not going to choose 48 because 24 is lower than 48. So the lowest common multiple of 8 and 6 is 24. Now for question 3, I want the lowest common multiple of 15 and 9. So let's set up the working out. We'll start off with the multiples of 15. So 15, 30, and I'm just adding on 15 each time, and I'll start off with about 5 numbers in this list. Now I'm going to look at the multiples of 9. So 19, 27, and again it's just a 9 times table, adding on 9 each time. Now I'm going to stop there because I can already see that I have 45 in both lists. So as soon as you see that you do have a number in both lists, you can stop straight away, and 45 will be the lowest common multiple of 15 and 9. Moving on to question 4, we have the lowest common multiple of 12 and 10. So setting up a table for my multiples. Start writing out the multiples of 12, 12 times table, adding on 12 each time if you're not sure what the 12 times table is. Now let's look at multiples of 10. So nice and easy, probably one of the easiest times tables. Now I've got 5 numbers in both lists, so I'm going to have to write a few more numbers down and try and keep the numbers up to about the same point. So 12 is all the way up to 60. And 10 is down in the 50s. So let's put another number into 10 times table. And oh look, we've got 60 now in both lists. So we have our answer. Lowest common multiple of 12 and 10 is 60. Now for the last question in the medium section, we have the lowest common multiple of 13 and 9. So let's do the multiples of 13 first. So 13 plus 13 plus another 13, and just adding 13 every single time. Now let's look at the multiples of 9. So just write down the 9 times table, and now I've got 5 in each. I can see that 9's lagging behind, that's up in the 40s, 13's up in the 60s, and I don't have any numbers in both lists. So let's write down some more in the 9 times table to catch up. Now they're both in the 60s, let's add some more to both lists. And I'm just adding one number to each list, try and keep them up to around about the same point. And then I've run out of space for the 9s, so I can move down here and start writing more of the 9 times table underneath. And the 13's a little bit behind, so I'll carry on writing numbers in the 13 times table. Let's carry on with some more in the 9s. So you'll notice that I have way more numbers in the list for 9, but they're both up to around about the same value now, and they're both in the hundreds. Let's write one more down for both. And I finally got it. We can see that 117 is the first number in both lists. So the lowest common multiple of 13 and 9 is 117. That is the smallest number that is in both the 13 and the 9 times tables. Now you'll notice our list got quite long there, so when we move on to the hard questions, we'll look at a method where we can try and write a little bit less working out when we have these longer lists. So the first hard question is a lowest common multiple of 20 and 18, and I think this might have quite a long list, so let's switch to a new way of working these out. That'll hopefully save us a little bit of time. So what we are going to do is we are going to find the prime factors of 20 and 18. And if you don't know what prime factors are, or prime factor decomposition, then you can look at the prime numbers video to jog your memory. But if you need a quick reminder, what I'm going to do is split each number up into two numbers which multiply together to make it. So 20 would be do 10 times 2. You could do 5 times 4 as well, and you will get the same answer eventually. So don't worry about there being different alternatives, just choose one. And then now split 20 up into two numbers, and split new numbers up into two numbers. So I'm going to split 10 up into, that could be 5 times 2, and then we're going to stop our trees at any prime numbers we find. So I can't split up 2 any further, that's a prime number, and 5 is a prime number as well. Now doing the same method for 18, so we're going to split 18 into two numbers which multiply together to make 18. So I could have 9 and 2. Then I repeat the process for the 9. So 9 could be 3 times 3. Then the 2, well, that's a prime number, so I can't go any further, and 3's are also prime numbers. So what we do now is we're going to draw a Venn diagram with our results, and we'll have a circle representing 20, we'll have a circle representing 18, and we're going to have a look at which numbers are in both trees. So both trees have got a 2, so we'll cross that out, and 2 will go in the overlap. It'll go in both circles because it's in both trees. Now there are no other numbers that are in both trees, so 20 is the only one with a second 2. That will go in the circle representing 20, and it's the only one with a 5. 18 has got 2 3's in the tree, and that's unique to 18 because 20 doesn't have any 3's. And now we've got our Venn diagram. So now the lowest common multiple is just all the numbers in the diagram multiplied together. So we'd multiply the 2 and the 5 in the 20 circle by the 2 in the overlap by the 2 3's in the 18 circle. So let's work this out one step at a time. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. 20 times 3 is 60. And 60 times 3 is 180. So the lowest common multiple of 20 and 18 is 180. Now, if we had written a list for this, then we'd have to write all the numbers in both times tables up to 180, and that's going to be close to 10 numbers in both lists. So has this method saved time? Well, it's probably taken us about the same amount of time, but we're going to see later there will be some questions where the list will be so long that this is the only method we can use. You'll also notice this method uses quite a lot of space, so I have to wipe the screen now and start on the next question with a fresh page. So moving on to question 2, we want the lowest common multiple of 18 and 15. We're going to make a prime factor tree for both numbers, and we're going to split each number into two numbers which multiply together to make it. So 18 divided by 2, usually easiest for an even number. 2 times 9 is 18. Then repeat the process for the two new numbers we made. 2 is a prime number, so that part of the tree is finished, and 9 would be 3 times 3. Both of those are prime numbers, so that's that part of the tree finished as well. Moving on to 15, two numbers which multiply together to make 15, so that would have to be 3 times 5, and both of those are prime numbers. So now I'm going to put those numbers into a Venn diagram. We'll have a circle containing 18 and a circle representing 15. We look at which numbers are in both lists, and importantly which prime numbers are in both lists. They've both got a 3 that will go in the overlap. It's in both circles, it's in both trees. And then 18 is the only tree with a second 3, so that will go in 18 circle, and 18 is the only one with a 2, so that will also go in 18 circle. 15 is the only tree with a 5, so 5 will go into 15 circle. So the lowest common multiple would be all of those numbers multiplied together. 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. So one step at a time, we can do 2 times 3 is 6, then 6 times 3 is 18, and then we do 18 times 5, so 10 times 5 would be 50, 8 times 5 is 40, so 50 and 40 will give us 90. So lowest common multiple of 18 and 50. The smallest number in both times tables is 90. And again, I've used up all the space on the screen, So I'm going to clear the screen now and move on to the next question. So question 3 is the lowest common multiple of 24 and 20. We'll do a prime factor tree for both numbers. In even numbers, it's usually easiest to divide them by 2. So 24 divided by 2 would be 12. So 2 times 12 is 24. Let's follow the same process for two brand new numbers. So 2 is a prime number. A tree will finish there. And 12 would be 3 times 4. 3 is a prime number, so that branch finishes there. And then 4 would be 2 times 2. Both of those being prime numbers, and that tree is finished. Now looking at 20. Now I tried dividing by 2 last time, and if you keep dividing by 2, you'll get quite long trees, as you saw with 24. If you choose larger numbers, you tend to get a shorter tree. So rather than picking 10 and 2, I'm going to pick 5 and 4. But this would still get me the same answer. Looking at 5, 5 is a prime number, and we already did 4 with 24's tree. 4 would be 2 times 2, both being prime numbers, and the end of the tree. So now we'll make a Venn diagram. We'll have a circle representing 24, and we'll have a circle representing 20. We're going to look at which numbers are in both trees, or which prime numbers are in both trees. Both trees have got a 2. That'll go in the overlap. And both trees have also got a second 2. So we'll put 2 2's in the overlap. Now 24's got a third 2, but 20 doesn't. So that 2 will go only in 24's circle. 24 has also got a 3, and 20 has got a 5. And we're only taking the prime numbers out. So yes, both trees do have a 4, but we're only looking at the prime numbers. So the lowest common multiple will be all of those numbers multiplied together. So 2 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 5. So doing our multiplication one step at a time. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. And then with 24 times 5, well, 20 times 5 would be 100. 4 times 5 would be 20. So 100 plus 20 is 120. The lowest common multiple, 24 and 20, is 120. Moving on to question 4, we have the lowest common multiple of 18 and 21. So breaking those numbers down into the prime factors, 18 would be 2 times 9. 9 would be 3 times 3. And then we know that 3 and 2 are prime numbers, so those branches end there. Same thing for 21. 21 would be 3 times 7, and both of those are prime numbers. Now making a Venn diagram, we'll have a circle representing 18, and we'll have a circle representing 21. We'll look for which prime numbers are in both trees, so they both have a 3. 21 is the only one with a 7, and 18 is the only one with a second 3 and a 2. The lowest common multiple will be these numbers multiplied together, so 2 times 3 times 3 times 7. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18, and then 18 times 7. We could do a column method, so 18 times 7. 7 times 8 is 56. Carry the 5, and 7 times 1 is 7, plus the 5 we carried would be 12. So that gives us 126. It's up to you. We're going to rely on mental arithmetic or rely on written methods. Just do whatever's going to get you an accurate answer. So the lowest common multiple of 18 and 21 is 126. Moving on to the final question, we have the lowest common multiple of 16 and 22. And I really don't want to write out the 16, 22 times tables, so we will do prime factor trees for 16 and 22. 16 could be 4 times 4. Repeating that for 4, 4 would be 2 times 2, and the other 4 would also be 2 times 2. So the prime factors of 16 would be 4 2's. Moving on to 22, only one option here. 22 would be 2 times 11, and both of those are prime numbers. Moving on to the Venn diagram, having a circle representing 16 and a circle representing 22. I'm going to look for which prime numbers are in both lists, and both lists have got a 2, which go on the overlap. 22 is the only tree with an 11, and 16 has got 1, 2, 3 more 2s. So the lowest common multiple would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 11. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, and that'll leave us with 16 times 11. So I'll do a written method. Starting with the units, 1 times 6 is 6. Write the answer in the units column, and 1 times 1 is 1. Now moving on to the tens, writing our answer in the tens column. 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 1 is 1. Filling up penny gaps with a 0 and adding up our two answers. 6 plus 0, 1 plus 6, and the 1, that will give us 176. So the lowest common multiple of 16 and 22 is 176.
Ouch! This is why in some videos I have explained scratches.